You're listening to the Shoot Your Shot podcast. I'm Megan.
And I'm Jen, and we're two boss babes sharing our journey and inspiring you along the way.
Yes. We are both wedding vendors in Connecticut. I'm a photographer and videographer, and Jen runs a mobile bar business. And today we are talking about maintaining friendships, relationships in your business, outside of your business, how everything kind of your business affects your personal life, all of those good things. So, yeah, I don't know. It's just been something that's been on our minds, especially now that slow season is here. We kind of have more time to spend with friends and family. It's kind of a priority that we've been wanting to set. And I think we probably did a pretty good job this past year of making time for trips with family and kids and all that. But I don't have kids, but Jen has kids and she'll get into it. So anyway, that's kind of the vibe for today. And yeah, how did you think last year went with your time?
So it's funny. I did miss out on things last year. I'm in a season of my life where a lot of my friends have young kids. So there's birthday parties. My kids are playing sports. So we're making new friends and things like that. My son is in kindergarten now. So he's now making friends on the bus. So I'm making new mom friends in our town, which is nice because we moved to Trumbull. God, it's been 7 years now. 6 or 7 years now. We moved to Trumbull the year after we got married and bought our house. And I really didn't make any friends in Trumbull because I was always in my hometown, which is in Norwalk, Connecticut, which is not far.
Yeah.
And we just kind of like stayed in our little bubble. But now that my son is in school, a lot of people kept telling me, like, once your kids are in school, like, you're going to start making mom friends. And it's happening, and I love it, and I enjoy it. But I did miss out on things this year because either I had an event or, something. But on the flip side of that, I do think that I put more time into traveling with my family.
Yeah.
Which was a goal of mine for last year. I really wanted to we have a cabin in New Hampshire that we used to only go to in the winter, but we sold our campground. We had a family campground, which was always like our summer destination place. Mm-hmm. So now that we sold that, the cabin is now our like new summer place. So we really wanted to spend more quality time there as a family. My husband loves going there. It's literally in the middle of the woods. There's really no service still.
That's really
if that's even a thing in 2024. But it's really like our quiet place as a family. And if you know me, I do not like quiet, but I feel like I can think there and I can really like shut my brain off, shut my business off, which you all need to do in the busy season too. So I feel like we spent more time doing that as a family, which was really nice. And I do feel that I got to see my friends when I could, and I made the effort to see them, which I think is really important. I've talked about this before, but my really close friends have a book club, and I don't read. So I was a part of it for a little while. I've recently rejoined the book club. I still have not read any of the books, but I go for the wine and cheese. Mm-hmm. But
that's so
they
funny.
meet once a month, and it's, they do talk about the book. I enjoy my beverage while they talk about the book, but I have tried to make more an effort to really attend those because I did feel like I was missing out because I would, the weeks that they would do it, I might have a networking event or something, but I was like, in my head, I was like, this is important for me to go to if I want to maintain these relationships, which I did want to maintain. So yeah, I do feel like I did a pretty good job. I think I could have done a better job. I think I could have done a better job of being the friend that reaches out. I don't think I did a good job of that last year. And I think that's something that I'm going to make more of an effort to do this year.
Okay. Yeah. That's a good goal. That's a good like introspective goal of like looking at how I was for my friends, my family for the past year, being like, was I a good friend? Did I like the person that I was? And then kind of reframe that into your 2024 goals. I think that's interesting. 2023, I think I did a pretty good job. If I had to rate myself, go with like an 8. I don't know. Maybe a 9. I really don't have that many friends, so that kind of influences the decision. Cause
you could relate it to like Jake, your boyfriend, right, and like even your family. I think it's just
that's why I'm giving myself the 9.
Yeah,
I think I did a pretty good job with family, but with friends, I have like one or two. I have like 2 high school girlfriends. Actually, one of them, we're reading the same book right now, and she's coming over on Sunday, and we're gonna just read by the fire, drink wine all night. We're really excited
Love.
because it's like set. Oh gosh, guys, if you're following me on my Instagram, like I've been talking about it on my Instagram, so it's a little bit embarrassing. I'm not going to get into it, okay? But it's a really good book series, and each book is like 400, 500 pages long. It's an intense book series, but it's one of the ones where like you can't put it down. You finish a chapter and you're like, okay, what happened next? So it's just funny. We're like neck and neck reading it, and she was like, can we just have a book club and like read together all night? So we're doing that. Anyway, so I'm making time to do things like that. But what's hard about being a business owner, especially a wedding vendor business owner, is that we work on the opposite schedules than most people do. So my friend who I was just mentioning, and like her boyfriend and my boyfriend, like everybody in my friend group, like I know one of my close friends, she works in like a hospital. So it's like everybody has a totally different thing going on, and it's so hard to fit yourself in and attend those book clubs and do those things with friends, because more often than not, people are meeting or hanging out or doing things on the weekends, and that's when we're in our business and when we really can't do anything else. So that's something that was like a hard hurdle to jump and adjust to in the beginning of business. But like I said, I don't have a lot of friends. I didn't go to college, so I don't have any college friends, and all of my high school friends went to college and left me in the dust a little bit. So I do have a couple close friends that when they're in town, I'll see them and that kind of thing. But for the most part, my friends are my business friends. They're you, they're Jess, they're the people that I work with and I see kind of frequently, and like you give me a call and you're like, hey, what's up? Or like we meet for the podcast and we reconnect. So in that kind of sense, it's different, but it's still like we need to nurture that. Yeah. And like Jess, she photographed an amazing event yesterday and she was so excited about it. It was for Vogue. Just had to say that. But anyway, she told me about it like last week, and she told me, oh, it's going to be on Wednesday next week, blah, blah, blah. And so I texted her yesterday morning to be like, you got this. Hope it goes well. Like, tell me all the details afterwards. And just like those little things. It's like, it doesn't have to be a huge, like, let's get together, let's do a thing, but just like little check-ins, making sure that you are present, even if you physically aren't present.
And I totally agree with that. And I think so. One of my like really good newfound mom friends, our kids are very similar in age. And I think that is what has gotten us closer together. And we both own businesses. So she is a sex and relationship therapist. So two totally different businesses, which is funny.
Maybe they'll drink your drinks first. And then.
Yeah, exactly. But we just hit it off. We randomly met at a networking event. She lives in the same town as me. She lives right down the street. Her kids, she has twins, and they are right between my two kids' ages. So my kids are 18 months apart. They're like right in the middle. So, and she has a boy and a girl. I have a boy and a girl.
Funny.
So we just totally connected. So every Wednesday, our girls do gymnastics together. So every Wednesday is like our bitch session with each other.
That's funny.
But it's like what we need. And like I have now like confided in her to like call, like I called her yesterday just to be like, I need to pick your brain about this coaching thing. Like, should I do it? Should I not do it? And she literally put her business bestie hat on and was like, okay, here are the pros and cons. Like, here are the bullet points. And it's like what I needed. But if I didn't make the call to call her, I would have never had that conversation. Yeah. So I think it's like, I think a lot of people sit in the back of, I'm using myself again as an example. I think a lot of people sit and they're like, well, they don't keep in touch with me, so I'm not really going to like call them. Yeah. And they don't make an effort, so I'm not going to make an effort. And that's how relationships fizzle out. And I feel like you shouldn't be the friend that puts all in, because I do have, I did go to college. I do have college friends, which is funny. One of them is now one of my bartenders, but my core group of friends are my high school friends, which is crazy because not a lot of people like can say that or have that. Yeah. But there's like 6 of us that all went to college together, or all went to high school together, and that's our book club. Like, we're still best friends. We're all in the same season where we're having kids or had kids. Yeah. They're similar in ages. So I'm very grateful that I have that. But we don't really spend the time with the kids. It's a group text that we have that we probably chat once a day on, or a few times a week, some weeks more than others, but we all make the effort with each other. Yeah, and I think that's what's really important. And it shouldn't be the blame game. It shouldn't be like, well, she didn't call me in 3 weeks and I'm not going to call her. It's if you want to maintain that relationship with someone, you do have to sometimes be the bigger person and make the extra effort.
Yeah.
And
unless you feel like they're really not in it. Like, I feel like to an extent, like there are sometimes relationships where things fizzle out and maybe that's the way that it's meant to be. And sometimes pushing too hard isn't the right thing to do. But if you're, if you know that it's like, I know they're really busy, or I know they're going through something, or like, I know that they need space for XYZ. Like my high school friends, like we don't chat that often, but like I know that they're always there. And then we will randomly text each other and be like, we're reading the same book, you're coming over, and we're going to, we have those moments. So I think I agree with you, but I'm also like, there are seasons for friendships and things can fizzle, and that's okay.
And I have one really good friend that nothing ever happened between the two of us. We were in each other's weddings. But I think we're in a season right now where we're just kind of like living our own life. But I know if I called her or she called me, we would pick up right where we left off. Like nothing happened. And sometimes I'm like, ooh, like, are we not friends anymore? And I'm like, no, like there's nothing happened. I think we're just living our own lives right now. Who knows where the future holds for that relationship? But I truly feel that what you just said, friendships can happen in seasons. And I'm a firm believer that people come and go into your life for a season or for a lifetime. And I think, I have a best friend. We've been best friends since 4th grade. I actually have 2 really good friends that we have been best friends since 4th grade. One lives in Arizona now. And we make an effort to have weekly calls. And we have, I think it's a 3-hour time difference, Arizona. And they don't do the time change either, like the daylight savings.
So, interesting.
Yeah. So sometimes we're 2 hours, sometimes we're 3 hours. But we actually just recently went like a solid month of not talking on the phone, and we were just missing each other. But we didn't stop that from not continuing to call each other.
Yeah.
And it was funny. She called me yesterday and I happened to be like on the phone with someone or doing something, and she texted me. She was like, okay, I need your location. I need your social security number. I need to know like where you're at, what you're doing. Cause we went a month without talking.
Yeah.
And that's not normal for us, but it could be normal. So I think it's like really important to remember that everything goes 2 ways, not just your personal relationship, like your love relationship. That definitely goes both 2 ways, but your friendships should go both ways too.
Yeah.
And it's okay to not talk to someone for a long time and not think that you're not friends anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I mean, you can always be in somebody's corner, and when that if you pick up the phone, that they'll be there. Yeah. That if you need them for XYZ, like they'll drop it and they'll come to you. And that's kind of like a rare thing, but it is like, they're like the kind of friend that that they're going to have you back even if you don't talk every day. Like I'm always thinking about my high school friends, like, I hope that they're good. And like sometimes I text them when I think about them, and sometimes I just don't. But like it's probably the same with them. Like they might see me post on my business stories and be like, oh wow, she's doing good, but like then don't text me. Yep. So they're always thinking.
I'm going to kind of go in a little bit of a spiral right now, but do you feel that like I see this all the time in reels and on social media where it's like, sometimes, and this is business related.
Okay.
Sometimes your biggest supporters are not your closest friends or your family. And it's interesting to see, like, I think you are one of my biggest supporters, but like, we're not childhood friends. And I'm not saying that I don't have friends who are my biggest supporters, but I do feel like some of my business new friends will share my business more. And again, maybe it's because they're a business owner, they understand, but will share my business more than some of my best friends will. And I don't think that my best friends don't want to share my business or don't want to see me successful or don't care about my success. I just think that maybe it's a different mindset for them.
I think that business friends have a different bond than like normal friends. I think that's what it is. Because when you asked me that, I had to like sit for a second. I was like, like you share my business more than like my, like, you're right. And I think it's because we get it. Like having a small business friend, even if they're in your like bubble or not, like one of my like closest supporters and like business friends for both ways, like vice versa. She's moving to Australia, but she's lived in Virginia all this time, and we just met this last fall for the first time, and we've been friends for like 2 years since I started photography. And like she's always, you know, we're always chatting and like sharing like our stories with each other and stuff like that. So she's like one of my closest, like just she gets it.
Yeah.
She's like,
and I think that's what's hard, like maintaining friendships when you are a business owner, because you want to not attract, but you want to maybe put more an effort into someone who's relatable to you right now as a business owner. But I think you can't forget about your friends who do have the 9-to-5s.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And all of my friends have 9-to-5s. Like I don't have any entrepreneur friends besides the one that I told you about in Arizona. And I never understood her. Never. Like she's always been an entrepreneur, and I never understood how she made money. I never understood how she paid her bills. I'm like, you don't have a job. Like, what do you do? But she's a graphic designer. She's an entrepreneur in many different areas. But until I understood it for my own, I didn't. And I get this question all the time. They're like, oh, you do this full time? And I'm like, yeah.
Really? People ask you that all the time?
All the time. Like, so one of my good friends just got engaged recently, and we all met up, and a lot of my friends from high school who I haven't talked to in forever, they're like, oh, are you doing that full time? And I'm like,
yeah, they like put a negative connotation on it to be like,
it's how they ask.
You're
like, you make that much money to be able to like support your family. And I'm like, actually, I want to be like, actually, I make a shit ton more than I did in my corporate job. Like, and I have flexibility, and you know, I could go on a real
you can spend time with your kids.
Yeah. But they don't mean it in a harmful way.
No, they just don't understand. Yeah.
And I think that's what's hard in friendships who are not in the business friendship, the business besties. But I think you need to remind yourself how important it is to have those friends still in your corner and have your back and make the time and the effort. Because I think a lot of my friends think, oh, Jen's so busy.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially during busy season. So like maybe they won't ask me to do things like actually they know that I will kill them if they do something without me. So I think that I've trained them well enough to know that I will be so offended. But
I get what you're saying though.
But when you start saying no, sorry, I can't make it. Sorry, I'm busy. Sorry, I have an event. Like
they'll stop asking.
So you have to continue to maintain the relationships in a different way. Like, I'm not saying you have to show up for everything, but like you need to text them and be like, hey, thinking about you.
Yeah. Or once in a blue moon, you invite them to do whatever. Yeah. Invite everybody to have the book club at your house, like in slow season when you can. But yeah, no, I think that's huge. And I think for us, like having those 9-to-5 friends is the same thing as like having a normal 9-to-5 kind of corporate job, and having other friends like high school, college, neighbors, whatever, having other friends, and then also having coworker friends. Because like when I worked at the retirement home, and that was the first time I'd really worked in an environment where I had coworkers, because the other jobs I had were like kind of creative and like different. This was like my first like work environment with like so many employees that was a corporate business. I still chat with them every now and then. There were like these two girls where we clicked, and we like went out to dinners and, you know, whatever. But it was like we bonded over work, and if we had met in an other avenue, like I'm not sure if we would have become friends. And so I think that's the same with like, I think entrepreneurs, we have more in common with each other. So I think I don't really see that. So like I think you and I, if we had met in another way, if we didn't own businesses, if we like met at a bar or like at a yoga class or something, I still think we would have hit it off and become friends. Yeah. But at the same time, that's because we are entrepreneurs and because we have that similar mindset, and it wasn't just a snap of like fate that we were both waitresses in the same place. Like I wasn't really passionate about like waitressing, wasn't like my dream career, you know what I'm saying? Yep. So I think I get what you're saying with like the 9-to-5 friends, like for like I don't know how to explain it, but like we don't have those coworker relationships anymore. Yep. We have like you and me where we like connected over our businesses, and we have to like kind of put in effort to see each other, but it's
like, lack of a better word, it's like entrepreneur friends. Like there's no other way to put that. so I totally get what you're saying, but I think you're now I'm in a season where I'm finding friends and meeting people and networking with them who are going to help me grow in my business. And I think that that's the mindset that I have now. And like, not that my friends aren't going to help me grow in business. They're going to help me grow in so many other ways, but they're not going to help me in my business. They will. They give me great advice. They're amazing. But I think I compare the two differently. Like they probably, like, not that I would ever talk shit about them, but they're probably not going to listen to this podcast because it's not something that serves them. Do you know what I mean? Like they might listen to it because it's me and they want to support me and they love me. But I don't think that this entrepreneurial wedding scene podcast is going to support my friend who, you know, works for something else. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I think they're going to support me in different ways, which they do. But I think we are in a season right now where we're building relationships that are going to benefit our business.
Yeah. Those other friends, they're interested in our businesses and follow us because it's us.
Yep.
Not because they actually
get
care
value
about our businesses. Yeah. Like my friends aren't getting married yet, but once they do, they're probably going to spend more time and attention on my business than they ever have before. And so then maybe it'll kind of be eye-opening to them at that point, and like, you know, things might expand and they might support my business more after that once they get it. But you're right, like they're not going to be they're like, none of my high school friends are listening to this and if you are, hello, but
hey,
hi, but like I don't think I'm probably your target audience unless you're starting a business. So like it's cool if you don't want to watch the podcast. Like it doesn't make sense. Like I get it.
Yeah. And I also think like I keep hearing things, and I think the reason I'm hearing these is because I'm in my head telling myself these things. Like they say that you need to not be the smartest person in the rooms that you're in. And not saying my friends are not smart, like my personal childhood friends, they are all so amazing. But I want to get into a room of someone who is 10 steps ahead of me in business. Do you know what I mean? Like that's the season I'm in right now. But I think it's so important to remember that business friends and besties from your personal relationship are two totally different things, and you need to mentor both of them in a different way. Not mentor, that's not the word I'm looking for. Like maintain. You know?
Yeah, business friendships will help your business.
Yes.
And friendships will help you. And they might intertwine a little bit. Mm-hmm. You know, like you might meet somebody through the business who you just click with so well that sometimes you hang out with them and you don't talk about business. Like it's totally possible. But I see what you're saying though. Like I'm not going to go to one of my high school friends for business advice. I'm going to go to you.
And I think you need that.
Yeah.
Like you need to have those relationships where you don't have to talk about business.
Yeah.
And like when we do the book clubs that I don't read the books.
Yeah.
Like my friends will be like, oh, I saw your post the other day. Like that looks so fun. Like that event looked really cool. Yeah. And that's kind of the end of the conversation, which is what I want that to be.
Yeah.
Whereas if I'm going to a networking event and I'm building relationships with my business friends, they're going to be like, oh my God, like how was that client? How was this? Like it's different conversations in different rooms, but I think you need the non-business friends. And
for sure,
it's very easy to lose those people because you're in the go season of working on your business, working in your business, all the things business related. But you have to remember that those other relationships are so important.
Yeah. And selfishly, you kind of need them. You need a place where you can escape and not have to talk about business. So yes, you should maintain those friendships because you should, and because, you know, you're good for each other and what have you. But like you as a business owner, you need a place where you can go and hang out. You can go and chill. You can talk to people and be friends with people that doesn't have anything to do with work. I think you really need that. And I kind of have that with my relationship. Like I talk to my mom about my business all the time. Mm-hmm. Like anytime I have a new idea or I'm about to send a video or a gallery to a client, I'm like, can you just like proof watch this for me, because she's fresh eyes and whatever. But like when I go on trips or I'm hanging out with my boyfriend and his family and whatever, like I'm not really talking about business. Sometimes I might, you know, share things with him and be like, oh, I'm so excited about this. Like I have a meeting later and blah, blah, blah. But for the most part, like he's not a business owner, and he's excited and he's passionate about it because I am. But like he's kind of one of those friends where it's like, he's an escape, you know, and I don't have to talk about business with him if I don't want to. He'll ask me questions, but like, the conversation, yeah, it could be like, oh yeah, the event was great, and it can end, and it's and that's fine.
That's how I am with my husband too. Like I think he just sees how much I like think about my business that we really don't talk business that much.
Yeah.
Like I share with him my like highs, not so much my lows. I share those lows with other people. He hears them, but not as much. But yeah, I totally relate with that.
Yeah.
Also on a kind of different topic, I think it's important and okay to remember that people can come and go in seasons in your life.
Yeah.
And I think like I've seen this and I look back and I'm like, wow, I was such good friends with that person, but it was for a season that I needed her in my life and we outgrew each other. And I think that's okay. And I think it's harder. It's easier when you're older because you're so busy. But like, I feel like when I was your age, those friendships were like so important to me, and I didn't have the business outlet, and I didn't have kids or, you know, anything like that.
Right.
But I feel like it was that like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like I don't know the word I'm looking for, but almost like if she didn't talk to me, it was like the end of the world.
That's so interesting. I think I just feel like I'm older than I physically am.
Oh,
so
you definitely.
that's
You're
why
old soul.
So I don't really relate to that. But I'm also like such an introvert. Like I'm cool with having like one friend and just calling it quits. I'm like comfortable to hang out by myself all the time. But one of my really close friends who just graduated college this last year, the year before, see, like I don't even know. Like not even sure. But she's still she lives in the city and she went to school in the city. So she's still like in the city and in that kind of weird era where like you said, like college is over. Most of her college friends have moved back home or moved to different cities or are doing their own new different thing. And she was talking to me about how she was kind of like struggling with it a little bit and how the only person she really sees is her roommate or her coworkers and what have you. She doesn't really have that network, like that group of people that was like her life. Yeah. Like though they were who she would see all the time, like every other night, you know, whatever. And now she's kind of like her world is just her now, and she's kind of like adjusting to that. And I like didn't really have any advice for her because I was like, when high school ended, I was alone. Like I didn't go to college. Everybody left me and I started my business, and that's where we are now. But I was like, I mean, you just got to be comfortable being alone, babes. You got to come, like, have some hobbies. Call me, you know.
See, this is where we're so opposite.
It's like a different season. Like she's in a season where she's applying to jobs and like doing the corporate thing now, and maybe it's just like I get that season where you were saying like if you kind of like felt like your world was ending. Not to say that hers is at all, because I'm also not in her shoes, so I can't even say. But I am at that age right now where that is happening to everybody. And so I like see it happening before my eyes, but like it's a weird phenomenon. And I do kind of like see people trying to grip each other tighter and closer. And I'm like over here, like, I got me and my clients and I'm happy and content.
This is where we totally,
it's different.
Like, I had a group of high school friends and we were still friends all through college, even though we all did our own college thing. But every single year we went to Jersey Shore. Every single year. It started with like 18 of us.
Wow.
18 like wild personality girls going
in
to
Jersey Shore.
So you can only imagine like what that was like. And then it like fizzled down, but there was always like a core 12 to 13 of us that went every single year. And it was just like our thing. It was our yearly like check in with each other. And out of those girls, like I still talk to most of them, like not every day. We all have our own lives, but out of those girls, the book club, 7 of us are still best friends. So for me, but that took me, I went to college. Some of them didn't. That took me maintaining those relationships with those people all throughout, you know, this life. And now we're going to be 40 in 5 years. And we're all doing a 40th trip together. And that's like our goal, to be somewhere all together when we're 40. So it's like, now we're making plans for the future with each other. And I think that that's really important because, you know, we could go weeks without talking, but then we'll randomly get together and be like, oh, so that 40th trip that we're planning. So it's like, we have something to look forward to together. Even though your lives are crazy, even though the world can get hectic, I think it's very, very important to remind yourself that if you want to, I just said it before, if you want to make a relationship work, it goes both ways. You have to put the work in. Yeah. And don't think of yourself as like, there's times with my best friend who I'm like, I always call her, I always text her. But that's just not who she is. Like, she's not the texter or the caller.
Yeah.
When we talk and when we see each other, it's like nothing happened.
Yeah.
But after, she was one of my 4th grade friends, and I was actually mean to her. Kirsten, if you're listening to this, do you remember back in the day? You might be too young for this, but they had these like toys where like it had water in it, and you could like hold it and like move it around.
Yeah, it had like little rubber fishes and whatever, and you'd like squish it. Yeah,
it was like a squishy thing,
and it had like it was like a cylinder. It
you
had
could
the hole in the middle.
The hole. Oh my god, what were those called?
I have no idea.
I don't even know if there was a
but
name.
I used to. You kind of. I'm gonna say like with like the soap bar. I'm gonna put the microphone down, but you know how you squish it like
yes. I am getting really negative thoughts in my head right now, but we're not going to go there.
Moving on, Jen.
Moving on.
What's the point of the story?
So she asked if she could like play with it.
God,
we're going in a rabbit hole right now. She asked if she could like play with. Oh my god, we're going crazy. Anyway, I told her no. 4th grade. What are you like? 13, 14, how are you? 5, 6,
10.
7, 8, like 10.
Yeah.
This mean 10-year-old was mean to another girl. Like, I was a bully. And then she still wanted to be my friend after that. I was like, you're stuck with me now because you wanted to be my friend after I was mean to you.
Aww.
And it's like an ongoing joke between us. We were college roommates. We've just been best friends ever since. But I know who she is, and I know our relationship. I do need to put a little bit more work in, which I'm fine with, in order to maintain that relationship. And it's nothing against her. It's just, I'm the outgoing, bubbly, crazy personality to be like, I'm going to use her name again, but to be like, Kirsten, why the hell haven't you called me in, 2 weeks? And she'll be like, cause I don't know. I don't even have my phone. Like, there's no reason.
Yeah.
But I know that I need to make a little bit more effort to maintain that relationship.
Yeah,
with
and
her.
to not take offense
to not take offense
getting as much attention, because sometimes people are just like that. Some people think about you and just never call.
Yeah. And she says it all the time. She's like, I don't call anyone.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I know, that's just who you are. And there's times where I'm that person too, where I am just so busy. Like one of my other really good friends, she'd be like, I haven't talked to you in 2 days. And like, we talk every single day. And I'd be like, I know, that's weird. Like, but that's how our relationship is. Like, we will call each other. She will call me. I will call her. And we know our boundaries and limits when we're both busy. But we don't let that stop us from talking every single day.
I think you brought up a good point earlier about making time and like having something to look forward to. I think maybe having a goal, even if it's just in your head and your friends don't know about it, but as a small business owner, when you're having such an opposite schedule from people, if you're like an online business or something where your business can really take place 9 to 5, but since you and I are in the wedding industry, there's really no flexibility unless you have a Thursday wedding, and still like that's going to be at night. So I think maybe kind of setting goals for yourself, at least, to be like, I'm going to reach out to so-and-so, to this group of people, to whoever, like once a month. I'm going to like make it a priority, or like plan a trip with them and be like, okay, I have something to look forward to because, I haven't talked to them in the past 4 months, but we're going on that 40s trip. And like, that's going to be awesome. I think maybe setting, this is something that I've been doing and I didn't really realize I was doing it, I guess, with my relationship, not so much with friends, because they kind of come and go. They don't live in the area for most of them. But with my relationship, like we make it a priority to go on a week-long trip, to do a weekend here, to do a weekend there. And it usually falls around like business holiday, like on the business calendar, if that makes sense. So like Memorial Day, Labor Day, stuff like that, where it's long weekends where we really can make it work. But with our businesses, with weddings, like Jake and I are talking about planning our Alaska trip for 2025, and we haven't even done our 2024 trip yet. But like, I need to make a priority to do that so that we have something to look forward to, and so that we won't get swept up in busy season and have him turn around and say to me, hey, when are we going to do our Alaska trip? It's 2025. And for me to look at the calendar and be like, I can't. Yeah. So weird, and I think that's also something that people don't really get, because they might reach out to you and be like, I haven't seen you in 3 months, when are we gonna hang out? And you might be like, in the middle of busy season, it could be like August, September, and you know, when people do that to me, I'm like, I can't see you till December, I'm sorry.
And not to interrupt you, but do you feel that they take offense to that?
I think people just don't get it.
Yeah.
That specific scenario has only happened to me like once or twice with like 1 or 2 people, where they're like, oh, I'm in town, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't, you didn't tell me earlier, like I didn't set aside time, like I can't. And then they're like, okay, well, when are you free next? Can we do next week? Can we do next month? And I'm like, babe, I can't do anything until after Christmas. And it's not you, I just physically cannot.
It's not
like,
you, it's me.
It's not you, it's me. I'm gonna be over here, I'm gonna be over there, I've got a wedding over here in this area. And it's like, I'm sorry, but I literally can't, just because people work opposite schedules. Like, it makes it impossible.
I think if you make it a priority to explain, because I do think if someone were to tell me, sorry, I'm too busy for you, and even though it's work related, I might be a little taken back by that if I wasn't an entrepreneur and I didn't understand, because I do get it. So if someone were to tell me now, I'd be like, oh, girlfriend, I get it, trust me.
Yeah.
But taking myself out of this perspective and saying, oh, I'm so busy, I'm way too busy for you. And that's not how you would say it, and that's not how I would say it, but that is maybe how they would take it.
Yeah.
Because they don't understand, because they're not busy every single weekend. Like, their weekends are pretty open.
Right.
But if I were to say to them, let's go grab coffee on Tuesday, they're going to be like, Jen, I work. Like, I can't do that. And to me, I do understand, because I was in corporate, but now I'm like, I literally will call one of my friends and at like 11 o'clock, and she knows that like when I call her, we chat, and she'll text me, be like, I'm in the office today, because she works from home part-time too. So she knows that she can't pick up the phone because we can't chat. And that's like us on the weekends. Yeah. Like, we can't hang out, we can't chat.
Right.
You know, so I think it's like remembering the different perspective of things, and being like, okay, like, yes, I'm busy, but this is why, like, how could we make this work, kind of thing. Yeah.
Like, I have a signed contract commitment with my clients that I entered into last year. Like, I'm sorry, I can't.
I don't think you need to go in the detail like that.
No, I know, but it's like, that's like what goes through my head when I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't. Yeah. Like, I have a commitment, and I have a commitment every weekend until Christmas. Yeah. It's like, I'm sorry. Side
tangent really quick, but I just got invited to this new little women in business networking group. They started an Instagram group, and they're doing an event in February, and I got added to the group, but you can like see the previous conversation. So I was trying to catch up with like what they were doing and all these things. And this one woman in the group, they were trying to meet to plan the event. And this one woman was, and I don't think she meant this in a negative way at all. Let me preference that. But she was just like, I'm too busy. Can't do that date. I'm busy. Can't do that date. I'm busy. And me looking at it, even being an entrepreneur, I was like, this is kind of like mean.
She wasn't trying.
She wasn't trying. And then, you know, she ended up posting, I think she's either like some type of teacher, yoga instructor, meditation, something. And she posted her calendar, and she is literally booked 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. like every single day.
Wow.
But until she put that calendar up, like, I don't think anyone really understood. She literally is booked every single day, all day. And we had talked about in a previous episode, like, what does someone being fully booked look like? That is fully booked. But until she put that calendar up, I was reading it, and I'm like, she's not even trying to set a time. Like, she wasn't even saying, I can do Tuesday at 2.
Right.
She was just saying, I'm too busy. But then I saw her calendar, and she literally is too busy. So, you know, it's different mindsets that I think you need to like remind yourself of. But I think it is nurturing the relationships that you want to keep
and
you
explaining
want to have.
it. Yeah, because she, instead of just saying, no, I'm too busy, she could have been like, no, I'm too busy, I'm so sorry. Like, my count, like, if you saw my count, like, you know, she could have gone into it a little bit for people to really,
a little differently,
to really get it. Yeah.
And I think that's hard for a lot of people, because you almost expect them to know that you're busy.
Yeah.
You know, and like, not in a mean way, but I think my friends do understand that, like, June through October, like, my weekends, unfortunately, are full. And if they're not full, I'm usually spending the time with my family.
Yeah.
So book club is on a Tuesday night, a Wednesday night. Like I can make the effort for those. Yeah. So it's like, I know we're going back and forth, but I truly think if you want a friendship to work, you have to make it work both ways.
Yeah. Yeah. And you have to not just say, no, I'm too busy, but offer suggestions to be like a Tuesday night. Yeah. Come up with your own ideas and then have something in place that you guys can both look forward to and be like, no, I'm sorry, I can't do that. But I'm really looking forward to our 40 strip. I'm really looking forward to, whatever. I think that's maybe.
And I also think too, like if you are too busy, like sending a quick text and just being like, "Hey, I'm thinking about you."
Yeah,
that goes
right.
Such a long way.
Yeah.
Like a lot of my motivational podcasts, they'll like stop and be like, text 3 people and just say, "Hey, thinking about you. How are you doing?"
Yeah,
and
that's
like,
a good idea.
That benefits in 2 ways. One, it benefits the person because they're like, "Oh, that's so nice. She was thinking about me."
Yeah.
And in turn, it benefits you as a person because you're like going out of your way to remind someone that you care about them.
Yeah.
So I feel like maybe that's a goal of mine for 2024 is just to like, I do it all the time, but I think I do it more to my business friends. And I'll send it. And it's so easy nowadays. Send them a freaking meme. Send them a reel. Send them like a quote that someone posted on Instagram that like that made you think of them and be like, hey, this made me think of you.
Yeah.
Like my mom friends send me all the crazy toddler videos right now because we're in that season. But it reminds me that I'm not alone. Yeah. And it reminds me that we're all going through the same shit. We're all like, one of my friends has 3 kids under the age of 4 and under.
Wow.
And I'm like, and 2 of them are like 11 months apart.
Wow.
I'm like, girlfriend, whoa. But she still makes the effort. So if someone who has 3 kids, a full-time job also, she's a pharmaceutical rep, full-time job, her husband's a cop. He works crazy freaking hours.
Yeah.
She is at book club every time.
Wow.
And she makes the effort to show up to places.
Yeah.
So I'm like, if someone who has that going on can do it, anyone can freaking do it.
Yeah.
So it's really like, you make the effort for the people that you want to make the effort for.
Yeah. Got to make the priority.
Yeah. I'm a firm believer of that. But I think it's, and she's one that sends me the kid memes all the time. And I just laugh. And then when we see each other, we talk about it. And it's like a conversation that like, oh, remember that reel I sent you of the kids just like throwing their shit everywhere when they got home from school? And I'm like, yeah, I do, because it happens every day. So it's like, having that like bonding moment.
Yeah. It's not that sending a meme and she's just being like, hey, I'm thinking about you. It's not a cop out. Like you will talk about it later.
Yeah.
It really does mean something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a little guilty of thinking of people and not saying anything. I like forget. I'm always thinking about the people that I care about. I'm like, oh, I'm wondering what they're doing right now. Or like, I know that like a big thing's coming up and then I think about them and I'm like, oh, I hope that they're doing well. But I always forget to text them to be like, oh, how did it go? Or like, just thinking about you. Yeah, I'm guilty of that.
Put it on your vision board.
Yeah. Yeah, I got to say things out loud more often.
I truly think like I'm guilty of the same thing, like not sending it when I'm like thinking of them. But I do think like I'll go through like when I'm on my phone at night and I'll spam my friends with like stupid reels and like memes, and I send stuff to you too. But like I think like that's my form of being like, hey, I'm thinking about you.
Yeah.
Like,
I like that. Yeah.
And the ones who send it to me, I'm like, oh, they were thinking about me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
right.
That little gesture, which is super easy. You're on your phone anyway. You're on social media anyway. Like, put it to good use and, like, show someone you're thinking of them.
Instead of just being like, ha, this made me think of so-and-so. Scroll. Send it to them. Yeah.
Send it to them.
Yeah.
Or tag them in the comments or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I like that. Reels are your love language.
That needs to be a post. Honestly, reels literally are my love language. Yeah. Like my friends, like one of my good friends, she knows that I love dirty martinis. So she's been sending me this one like blogger who does like, she did a dirty martini dip, like a chip dip. Yeah, it was very interesting. But it had, this one was gin based, but it had gin in the dip too. Like you're getting boozy off a chip dip. Yeah, it was interesting. But
that's
it
funny.
made me know that she thought about me when she saw this.
Yeah.
So it's that little stupid thing.
Yeah.
And I truly think people get a laugh out of it and like get excited about it. And then you probably do this too. I don't know. Maybe I'm the only one. But like if you see someone post something, and this is more business related friends, because my friends don't usually like post that much reels and stuff. But if someone uses a song and then you hear that song, don't you think about them?
Yeah.
Or if like they sent you something and you hear the song later, or you see another post about it, it reminds you of them too.
Yeah.
Like my good friend Devin just posted her 2-year anniversary reel, and I don't remember, something about like confidence was the song. Now every time I see that, I think of her because of that song.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
well, that's good marketing.
That is good. That is good marketing.
But true, yeah, it makes you think about your friends, yeah.
So, send your friends a reel, tell them that you're thinking about them.
Make a little extra effort if you feel like you've been slacking.
Yeah, and I think if you feel like you've been slacking, you probably have been slacking. Yeah. You know? Like I don't
send them a little note or a gift or something.
Like I don't feel like I'm slacking right now in any of my friendships, but it's because I'm in an off season. We did just like spend the holidays together.
Yeah. Yeah, true. It's January.
It's January. Yeah. But I think if you think you're not making enough effort, you're probably not. Yeah. And don't be like bitter and be like, oh, they didn't text me, they don't call me. Like, just be the bigger person.
Yeah. And don't be afraid to tell them the truth too.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to like put in extra effort, and then because they could take that the wrong way too. If like all of a sudden you're like texting them every day and you're sending them 1,000 reels and you're sending them chocolate, like they might be like, oh my god, what's going on? Like it could be like anxious attachment style, you know. But don't be afraid to be honest and be like, hey, you know what? It's the new year. I've been thinking about my life last year and I feel like we didn't see each other enough and I feel like it's my fault. Or like, you know what? It's you can be honest and be like, I don't know if you felt this way, but like I felt like I didn't see you enough and I want to make more time for you. And you know, you don't have to like hide it. You know, don't be embarrassed about it.
I love
that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be mad if somebody did that to me. You know, if if I was in their shoes, if I felt like they didn't see me enough and then, you know, they affirmed that and then they sent it back to me and they were like, hey, you know what? You're right.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. Is that weird?
No, not at all. No, I think you absolutely should do that. If you feel that you are in a place where you want to have that relationship with someone and you don't have it right now.
Yeah.
You need to be the person. And I'm a big universe has your back in your corner. Like if you're talking about it and you're thinking about it, there's a reason for that. Mm-hmm. And I think that if you are thinking it, they probably want to hear it.
Interesting.
It's probably the universe telling you maybe this person feels the same way, but they're not big enough and bold enough to do the first step.
Right.
But if you did it, they might receive it.
All right.
You know?
Advice. if you feel like that's you, just just say it.
Even having this conversation, like I do think there's always room to fix things and make things better. But and maybe this is just me. Maybe my friends don't even think that I put enough work or enough effort. But I do feel that the friendships that I want and need and have, and not to go on a side tangent, but there's actually one friend who at the manifestation retreat, I was doing all my self, you know, reflection and all that. And she was actually a friend that I felt that we grew apart for no reason. And I didn't want that to happen. And I literally texted her and I was like, hey, I miss you. I'm thinking about you. She actually was in Hawaii at the time. And I was like, when you get home, like, let's get together. Like, I just want to chat with you. Like, I feel like we need to catch up. And she was like, oh my God, I would absolutely love that. And that she's the one that just got engaged. Aww. So we were all together recently, but
that's nice.
Nothing happened. There was no reason. We just are doing our separate things right now. But I think I felt better knowing that she wants the same thing that I want. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, right. Like validates you.
Yeah. But I was the one who reached out. So anyway, build a relationship you want, or maintain the relationships you want to stay around forever, because life is too short. Yeah. I'm a firm believer of that.
Don't let your business get in the way.
Yeah. And you're not guaranteed tomorrow. So.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, we are wrapping up today. This was kind of just like a chat about friendships, maintaining friendships, keeping them, being the bigger person. Yeah. And like you just said, don't let your business get in the way of your friendships.
Yeah. Yeah. Or your life.
Or your life. Yes.
All right.
Cheers.
Cheers.